interesting idea. I think it kind of leads one to think a little bit about Henry James's family, his relationships not only to his brother and to his father, sister Alice, but also to Minnie Temple, his cousin.
Yeah. I know there are people who insist that a writer's biography has almost nothing to do with his or her work. I am not one of those people. For a reason, I love gossip, and I really want to know what sort of life produced a Henry James or a Virginia Woolf. And yeah, to me there are sort of two. Okay, the James family. Quickly, the James family. I'm sure many of you know about the James family. Maybe some of us don't. For reasons known best to them, the aliens aimed the genius ray fully on the James family. They had money. Henry James Sr. was a Swedenborgian. Which is a sort of radically rethought Christianity taken up by people as diverse as Yeats, Johnny Appleseed, and Helen Keller. Henry Sr. had lost a leg in an accident as a child, so he would thump around the house with one real leg, one cork leg, going on about Swedenborg, and had limited opinions about almost everything. He and his wife Mary, who was less of a dose, had 5 children in fairly rapid succession, four boys and then a 5th daughter. The third and 4th boy, Grant Wilkinson and Roderick. Robinson, thank you. Robertson, thank you. Lived relatively ordinary lives and are not much known, but. Alice, the youngest, the only girl, left these incredible diaries. They're sort of iconic and crucial to feminist studies. But those 2 older boys, William, and then a year later, Henry. William, of course, famously taught most of his life at Harvard. He had an MD, but he really taught mainly psychology and philosophy, and his students ranged from Theodore Roosevelt to Gertrude Stein. He was a huge force in thinking and in letters, and almost half the people who influenced the course of the 20th century to come studied with William James. And William James, though possessed of both his biological legs, was very much like their father, rumbling around, a kind of slightly bullying opinion on just about everything. And then 1 year behind is Henry, who's like an Edelweiss, who is like a piece of phlox. He is so lovely and brilliant, but small and delicate and called and spurred as a sissy by William and not allowed to play with William and his friends because Henry wasn't rough enough. And I think it seems this is my idea, not yet an actual scholar, but it seems pretty safe to me to say that Henry had a kind of erotic fixation on his brother William, which properly freaked both of them out. which made William abuse Henry all the more ardently, and which made Henry feel all the more devoted, disdainful of William, and I you don't oversimplify this stuff, but I think I think we see traces of William in Dr. Sloper and so many of these sort of exploitative, oppressive men who just turn up over and over and over again in his fiction. And then the second, I think, that is really crucial childhood influences, Minnie Temple, his cousin Minnie Temple, who was 2 or 3 years younger than he, and just one of those girls, just luminous and beautiful and smart and poised, the kind of girl who would drive Fitzgerald crazy sometime later, but not Fitzgeraldian, not that kind of Southern belle, but just one of those girls about whom everyone always asked, who was that? And again, this is just my idea from reading James as I have. I don't know if James ever fancied himself potentially heterosexual, but I do think he imagined that he could marry Minnie Temple and pass as heterosexual, and that he could imagine being her mate for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's in The Master, the Colin Tobin book. He certainly poses that idea. That James maybe thought Minnie was the only woman for him.
I think that was certainly his idea, and it may have been true. And then she did the thing then she made the fatal and I think certainly immortalizing gesture of dying at 24, at the height of her charms. Henry didn't get to see her age. He didn't get to see her either marry him or marry somebody else. Maybe it didn't. She checks out at the height of her powers. And she is without question Isabel Archer and Millie Theo in Wings of the Dove. And there's probably sprinklings of her all over the place. She's probably a little bit Daisy Miller. She's probably a little bit Princess Casimassima. She's the guiding, she's the girl goddess. She's the guiding female light in his whole array of beautifully, intricately realized women characters. And interestingly, Catherine is the least like Minnie Temple of anyone he's ever written. Catherine is the un-Minnie Temple.
There is a huge difference in the way he writes about men and the way he writes about women. The women characters in James are really magnificent characters. Even Anne Penman, as you point out in Washington Square, is fully realized. She's somebody. She's a real character. And often the men are just representations. They're thin in all the books. I was trying to ask you if you could even name in any of the books, certainly not in Washington Square, but in any of the books, a man that you thought was as strong or as interesting a character as any of the women.
Yeah, who comes to mind?
No one comes to mind.
Robert Hudson is eponymous, but not much beyond that. Yeah, that was so early. No, I mean, and James actually quite consciously, and he wrote to, maybe it was William about it, at a certain relatively early point, decided that he would write primarily about women. From a women's point of view, that he actually felt more comfortable is not the word for what he felt, I don't think, but more enlivened and challenged and pulled in to the minds and lives of women. Yeah, and it's true, the men are mostly there to irritate the women and occasionally lure them into bad marriages.
And occasionally irritate the reader. Exactly. I think that one of the things that people complain about in with James so much is just style, purely style. You know, people find the style difficult, and I don't think that's true, especially in Washington Square, and we'll hear more about that in the Q&A. But I was so interested in this quote of yours. You say, "The world, as seen through James's eyes, is too enormous, too dense, too mesmerizing for conciseness." And so that is not even something one should look for or care about when reading James.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I think in this way as well, he prefigures modernists like James and like Joyce and Woolf is I don't know, arguably the first great writer, at least the first great writer in English to insist on a world so vast and intricate and full of tulips and a plastic bottle of water and the endless ramifications of everything, that he could not be brief. He could not be brief. It wasn't in him. The novellas all started out to be 15-page the 600-page novels all started out to be 150-page novels. And if you're not sort of friendly to the besottedness of a boy and then man who just can't stop talking about it all, he's not the writer for you. You know, and the world is full. The world is overwhelmed, is busting at the seams with writers who are concise and to the point and never include anything extraneous. And if that's your taste, you should read those writers.